All right, kids. So let's get through this. This is the first lecture, and it's about safety, and it's a quick one. We you were introduced to the safety dance last week, and basically a very long list of rules. And to break down those rules into what we'll be using day to day, it's basically that you should always wear eye protection when requested. I fought hard to get you those goggles that will be much more comfortable, but you need to be wearing them at all times. It protects your eyes from all the things that could possibly happen. And most of the time, if something happens, you will not see it coming. So that's why it's important to assume you're not going to have time to put them on or whatever. You want to tie your hair back, especially when we have open flames, that it doesn't get in the way. Closed-toed shoes and long pants are going to be important to protect your feet and your legs if you're going to drop something hot or something that could cause it damage. Don't ever eat or drink in the lab. I allow it in the classroom, coffee and whatnot, but you really can't when we're doing lab. You can't mix it up with something else that's on the table. It's just not a good idea, spilling things, whatnot. Plus, just from your own safety, the residues and whatnot, the chemicals that are around when we're doing labs, you do not want to be drinking or eating when that stuff's around. You should read all instructions carefully. Make sure you understand what you're doing, because there's nothing quite as dangerous as not understanding what it is you're supposed to do next or why it is you're doing something. Please bring all questions and hazards to my attention. You do the safety dance as part of it. And there's absolutely no horseplay. This is very dangerous. Again, someone can spill something if they get pushed in the back. We're a very crowded classroom this year. There's no room for people to be goofing around. If you just back into somebody accidentally, it could cause an accident. All right, so part of our safety training is recognizing these symbols, these pictograms. They put pictures on things because they sort of transcend language. People should be able to understand them. That's the hope, that these pictures are able to be understood regardless when you see them. So they'll come on packaging of chemicals. And so if we look at this first one here, there's sort of a dying tree and a dying fish that looks like it's in a tar pit. And if you had to guess what that meant, you could probably figure out that that means it's dangerous to the environment. So on a quiz or a test, you might see this thing and ask, what does it mean? So hopefully you can piece together that what we're looking at here is the environment, woods, and fish. The skull and crossbones, of course, means pirates are inside, or that it's toxic. This I don't love. I'm not sure. It looks sort of like a mallet, but it's gas under pressure. So that's probably the hardest thing of everything we're going to learn. That doesn't really look like anything you might have guessed. But if you've ever seen a gas tank, a gas cylinder, that's kind of what it looks like. Not really, but kind of. I love this one. This is pretty obvious. You have a test tube spilling out on some material or on the hand, and you can see like the hand gets chewed away here. So that means that it's corrosive. This, again, somewhat self-explanatory. It looks like an explosion. It is explosive. And now notice there's two flames here, one here with the O in it and one with just a flame inside. The one that's a flame looks like it's flammable, so that should not be surprising. The exclamation point is a sign that just anything, caution type thing, used for less serious health hazards. So a lot of times they'll just put this on if there's anything to warn you about whatsoever. Getting back to this flame, so the flame with, this is an O for oxygen, and that means it's an oxidizing agent. It can catch on fire without oxygen, is the point of that. And then this rather graphic pictogram kind of looks, unfortunately, like it is, and that is that it could cause cancer, so that if you get it in your body, it's going to cause all sorts of damage. And those are the pictograms you need to know. And here are some additional that I think are just general. You might run into these anywhere in your life. That this sign, hopefully you've seen enough movies and whatnot to recognize that as radioactivity. And this one you may see at your doctor's office where they have all the needles, or if you give blood, and that's the sign for our biohazard. So these two you should certainly know. This one I was never familiar with until I saw it here for this talk. So I'll just let you know it's chemical, but I don't think I'd ever bring that one up. These are the two you actually see in the world. 48 years of my life, I've never seen that one, and I worked in a chemistry building. But these also are important, these pictograms, and the point of them are they're trying to communicate to you hazards without language being a problem. So the other big thing we need to know is the NFPA rating guide, and that comes on a diamond. And you may see these diamonds around hardware stores or Lowe's Foods or something like that. And they have different colors, and each color is for a different meaning. So you can see here that blue is for health, red is for flammability, and yellow is in stability or reactivity. There's also a white diamond at the bottom of the diamond, and that's a special area. You'll rarely see something in there. If you do, it would be words or a symbol like the radioactive symbol, this W with sort of a cross in it, meaning it reacts with water. So let's get into this a little more. So these you won't need to know. You just need to know that white is a special hazard. Let me figure out that. But certainly with the main ones, the blue, red, and yellow, you need to know that low numbers 0, 1 mean things are safer. 0 means there's no hazard, and 1 means it's a slight one. And many household items are between 0 and 1. The higher numbers, 4, 3, they mean things are much more dangerous. You want to stay away from situations like that. If you just happen to be walking somewhere and you see that on one of these signs, that means pretty much turn away. So um, 4 here means lethal for health, means readily burn at normal temperatures for flammability, and may explode just at normal temperatures for instability or reactivity. So as you can see, 4 is bad news and 0 means all's clear. The one thing you do need to recognize these colors because often it's in black and white. So you need to remember it goes blue, then red on top, and then yellow. The white at the bottom should hopefully be pretty clear. But the one way to remember this is it's alphabetical. Blue starts with a B, red starts with R, yellow starts with Y. So it's BRY, that's in alphabetical order. And then at that point, I don't think it's a push to ask you to remember that red is flammable. And then just trying to remember which one is health, blue or yellow. Remember, you can feel blue. That's a feeling people can have. So that's your health. That's personal health. Yellow is reactivity. You can think of it as sparks, lightning, things that are reactive. I'm just trying to help you, but you need to remember that red's on top and then blue to the left and yellow to the right. And like I said, going left to right, it's in alphabetical order, BRY. All right, so here's an example of a label where it's on there with no colors. So that's why you should recognize those colors. The red would be on the top. The blue here would be a 3 and 0 in its reactivity. So acetic acid is basically very, very concentrated vinegar. If you took a lot of the water out of vinegar, that's what you would be left with is acetic acid. So it is a health hazard when it's very concentrated and it is flammable. All right. Another thing you should recognize are these CAS numbers. CAS numbers are like a social security number and for chemicals. And that's good because chemicals are called different things. Even here in America in different labs, we would call things different things depending on what lab you were in. So to sort of be a great equalizer among languages and terms and whatnot, they've assigned a CAS number to every chemical. So every time you see osmium tetroxide, which is OSO4, regardless of what you call it, it has this CAS number, and that way regulating companies or fire departments or whatever can establish what it is they're dealing with exactly. So potassium metal has this CAS number, whether you call it potassium metal or I don't know what else you would call that one actually, but the point being this helps with naming sometimes going off the board. Every chemical has a unique number assigned to it. And anytime you see that number, that means it's talking about that chemical specifically. All right, so today we're going to look at safety data sheets, and I'm going to have some of these available to you and just peruse around at them, and you'll see safety data sheets are wonderful tools for chemists and anyone in a regulation or safety position, which any of you could be in. So it will tell you the name, the accepted name of a chemical. It'll show you the pictograms that are involved with that chemical. So in this case, acetone is flammable, and it also has this exclamation point, and that would mean it's just got a general hazard, and they're written here what exactly the hazard is. Now, acetone is, you may know, just nail polish remover. Shouldn't be surprising it's flammable. And the general hazard here, if you got in your eye, it would hurt and cause drowsiness and dizziness, I guess, from the vapors. So another nice thing, always has the cast number on it, so there's no question as to names. It should usually have other names. This one doesn't, but sometimes you'll see different names if things have more common names. The cast number, though, eliminates all that questioning of what you're talking about. Then it also will have a formula on there. It'll tell you how to take care of first aid, firefighting measures. Now, this is really frustrating to me. They ponied up money to put these pictograms on here, but for some reason they don't put the diamond, the NFPA diamond there. They just put the code. So the health code here is abbreviated by an H. It's a 1, so it's a low health code. Flammability is a 3, so that's a higher risk for catching on fire, and its reactivity is a 0. I don't know why they don't use the diamond like we teach you, but they do break it down. You just need to look for firefighting. Remember that NFPA diamond has to do with firefighters going on to sites and seeing things and making sure they don't get in trouble. And that's it.